Hey guys, this is Big E at Big E's Car Garage. I'm back. The Darkhorse GT is back. Before we jump into this video, be sure and hit that like and subscribe button. So, the Darkhorse GT is back on the road. My car has been down practically all summer. I had another transmission built that I've been working on getting put in. It took a long time just to get it built and get the parts in. Basically, to start out, what happened is back in April, before the summer, I noticed my transmission felt like it started slipping. It was hesitating a little bit, just kind of stuttering and shuddering at lights. And all of a sudden, it just seemed like it had a hard time going. So I knew I had transmission issues. Long story short, as you know, I'm rebuilding this motor. Probably this next year, we're going to have it where it's making maybe around 900 to 1,000 horsepower. So while the transmission is out, I wanted to go ahead and have a new 4R70W complete with a manual valve body built for this car put in, so it will handle the power that I plan to put in this car next season. As I was taking the transmission out, I did notice the actual problem. So not only did the transmission start shuddering and just hesitating, and also shutting the car off when you would come to a stop, come to find out I had a bad bearing in the torque converter. So what I was using was a 3600 style FTI torque converter. I sent it off to the guys in Florida. They did a good job, told me what was wrong, built me a new one. Unfortunately, when I got it back, I actually decided to go with a different brand. So right now, what I have in my car is a 3600 style Circle D. These guys are right here local out of Texas. They're down in Houston. It probably took about 3 weeks from order to arrival time when I got the torque converter. So that's just a little bit about what's been going on. But of course, like I say, the car has been down. I've not came to you with any content, but she is back on the road. So I'm going to get into just telling you a little bit about what's been done to the car since then. Outside of the transmission, like I say, I did all the work myself here in my garage. Built some stands for the car, put it up where it was safe to work up under. So not only did we go back with a brand new BCA built by Darren Birch, shout out to Darren, 4R70W transmission complete with a manual valve body. I also installed a B&M gated shift in the car complete with trans brake, which is awesome. This is definitely going to come in at the track and give me some faster times and a little bit more reliability when shifting when it comes to racing at the drag strip. So stay tuned to this next part. We're going to get into this, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about what was done to the car. All right, guys, let's get into a little bit of what the Darkhorse GT now has. As you can see, it's clean. I'm happy to have it back on the road. So first thing, guys, again, like I say, I had a brand new 4R70W transmission built by Darren Birch at BCA Transmission. For you guys that are worried about taking the starter off of a 2003 Mustang GT, trust me, you can do it. One thing I will point out here, this little tool right here, this is a low profile swivel head ratchet that I got from Harbor Freight. $19 will save you a lot of headache. I was able to remove the right front wheel, work my way through the back of the K-member, and remove all 3 bolts. One thing I will say is, as a footnote, I did remove the exhaust to get my transmission out, so keep in mind that exhaust was out. You can get to the 3 bolts from the front, but I was able to do it to the side, and you can do it underneath. We're going to go around a little bit to the hood. As you guys can see, one other addition. Yes, I finally did it. I custom and made and fabricated my own Anderson power pipe. So again, guys, you can, if you have a little mechanical know-how, you can build these yourself for probably half the cost. I will tell you, I ordered all the parts from silicone intakes. So what you'll need for your head unit, this is going to be a 90 degree silicone coupling. Keep in mind, this is going to be 4-inch all the way through for better airflow. The head of it, you will need a reducer. So this is going to be 3.5 inches, 4 inches here. What you'll need also is going to be a 45 degree, 4-inch through and through intake pipe. Going over into your fender well with the air filter and mass airflow sensor, I used a 45 degree silicone coupler. That's 4 inches on each end. I bought my T-clamps, which I have those. One thing too, guys, just to keep in mind, you do have a couple of hoses that run to your factory, the stock pipe that comes to this for the Vortex Supercharger. I was able to eliminate one of those, so for my breather, you can see I put an Edelbrock breather for the crankcase, so that eliminated one hose. My IAC is still connected here, as well as the other one that goes up underneath here, and all I did on that was take my step bit. I used 2 3/4 inch barb hose fittings, threaded those in along with the washers just to seal it off, and boom. I mean, you will have to trim out a little bit of your fender well, you can see here. So I took my Sawzall and just kind of opened the fender well up, because the way this pipe is and the size, you're gonna have a little bit of issue clearing, and of course you don't wanna scratch up your nice shiny new pipe. So what I will say, I've not had this on the dyno yet. Most guys say you can get an extra 8 probably horsepower out of that, so I'm looking forward to that. What I can tell you is your supercharger is definitely more distinct and noticeable now. Once I get on the gas, just getting up to RPM, you can definitely hear the whine and whistle of your supercharger. So that is a cool addition, and I'm happy that I made it myself, saved myself half the cost. One thing I was going to show you guys too, as far as getting that starter out. So again, keep in mind my car was up on blocks, but all I did was remove my right front wheel. The molding behind here, you can actually pull that back some, but what you have is a 45-degree slant with your frame and your K member. There is a space in between that. So keep in mind the wrench or the low profile ratchet that I showed you from Home Depot, you can actually see the 3 bolts, wedge it in there, and just take your time, slowly start backing those out. I did not unhook the positive and negative on the starter. I left the wires connected, although the battery was disconnected, but you can, if you're dropping your exhaust, you can get the starter out that way, and it's easy. As I was putting the exhaust back on in the starter, I was able to do everything from underneath, which made it even, a little bit easier. So guys, that's just a quick little walk around of my car. One other thing I'm going to show you too, another thing that I'm proud of. With this manual valve body transmission, you can see I have the B&M gated shifter. I was able to do all of my wiring, run all my wires through the console and the floorboard. I have 2 extra switches up here for my overdrive and the lockup on the converter. I decided to go with the trans brake that was on the stock buttons for my trans brake and also reverse. So keep in mind with the manual valve body, in order for this car to go in reverse, it's just like the race cars now. You put the car in reverse, hold down on the trans brake button, that gives you reverse. Again, I'm gonna make another video just taking you guys out, showing you the shifting pattern on this. So basically you're starting and launching the car in first, second, up to drive. You guys can see my NRG steering wheel, boost gauge, the other gauges I have here, my 12 volt, my air fuel ratio, and the transmission temp sensor, or temp gauge, I'm sorry. So like I say, those are just a few of the things that the car has gotten since it's been down. We've been out on the street with it. Car seems to run good. I can't wait to get to the track. I'm sure my brother and I will go sometime. We've pretty much missed all summer. Like I say again, guys, that's where the Darkhorse has been, but she is back on the road. All right, guys, I've gave you a brief overview of what the Darkhorse has got. Again, like I said, my car has been down all summer. I've definitely been missing it. So I've enjoyed just getting out here once I got my transmission in, making a plan to get it in. It probably took about 2 days to get it in by myself. And again, I did all the work by myself. It can be a challenge, but I was able to do it. You just have to have the want to. I basically broke everything down in steps. So I knew my first step was going to be to remove the starter, which most people say is hard with the 3 bolts. Just trying to get to those. Again, that was not very difficult. You can do it with the correct tools. Second was to cut my exhaust off, because my exhaust is just welded straight through. So I did have to cut right behind the X. I removed that from the headers and was able to get the exhaust out of the way. third step was just removing the transmission, which again, that can be a job. Like I say, most people recommend a transmission jack. You can do it that way. I was actually able to use my floor jack safely and get it out. Same thing, getting it back in the car. One thing I will suggest, just when you're putting your torque converter in, most people know this about the Ford 4R70W transmission. Once you go to get that converter in and to make sure it's seated, there's 3 clicks. So you're gonna put it on the pump shaft. It's gonna click once. You rotate it, you click it twice, you rotate it again, it's gonna click a third time. I was almost positive I had the 3 clicks. I found out later as I was putting the transmission in for the first time, as it went to mount up to the block, it didn't want to seat properly, and I knew there was a problem. Again, you never want to crank down on the bolts and force it up. So sure enough, it took a little bit of work, but I dropped the transmission back down, realized that I did not get the 3rd click on my torque converter. You'll be able to tell, like I say, you can look at the spacing as to where your flywheel, or I'm sorry, your flex plate should be from the edge of the bell housing. So again, once I got that properly seated, I made sure I rotated it with my hand to make sure it spun freely. All was good. So again, the Darkhorse GT is back on the road. I'm looking forward to making you guys some more content and more videos. Here in a couple of weeks, my brother and I will be in Ennis at the NPK race. So I'll be coming to you with that, with some footage. We'll be watching some good racing. Hope to see Kai Kelly, Sean, all the guys there. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Okay guys, I'm tuning out for now. Again, this is Big E coming to you from Big E's Car Garage. Hit that like and subscribe button and I'll see you next time, all right? Thanks.